Hello, today we're going to talk about coordinate systems in AutoCAD. Coordinate systems are the first concept that you learn in any CAD software because you're designing parts with geometry concepts. And in geometry, you have lengths, arcs, angles, but also you have distances with respect to each other. So coordinate systems are very useful, mostly when it comes to assemblies, because you can have everything with respect to each other, all the parts, using a single coordinate system. Or in fact, there are times that you can use multiple coordinate systems. If a part is rotating, you can have a coordinate system that is rotating, and there will be a rotating reference that is a subset of the coordinate system. So coordinate systems could be very intricate, very complicated, but in AutoCAD, mostly we only did with one coordinate system, which is the global coordinate system, which is the 0 point that you get when you create a new file. Which, by the way, let's create a new file. Going to the AutoCAD options, new drawing. If you're gonna create a mechanical drawing with HVAC, plumbing, you can get a mechanical template. Or if you're gonna get electrical drawings, you can get an electrical template. But if you're just gonna do a draft of random things that is what we're gonna do now, you can use the AutoCAD template, which will bring no package of electrical or anything else, and it's good because when you save the file, it's not gonna be as heavy. It's gonna be lighter. Okay, so the first thing is that we have the new AutoCAD file. When you save it, it will be a DWG. We'll save it at the end as a DWG, which is a AutoCAD standard file. But mostly, people will export it as a PDF, and that's the drawing that you'll share with your customers or with your boss or with your colleagues. And the drafter will save the AutoCAD native part, DWG, so that they can update it or revise it or apply changes to it. Alright, the second thing I want to mention is the settings of the screen. So remember, you go to the settings, and before I go there, a lot of people get confused on why some people type and some people go around clicking for things. Both are okay. They're the same thing. AutoCAD is one of the first softwares that was used for drafting, so it was based on key entry, on command entry, and they kept it like that because it was so useful and so fast, and it's very intuitive. You know, you need a line, type line. You need a circle, type circle. Versus other newer softwares, you have to use your mouse, and it takes a lot of clicking to get to things usually. So you can still do that, but I like the command line, so you'll see me use the command line a lot. So these settings. On these settings, you have all the settings for your draft. We'll go on through them as we use them, as we need them. But for now, I want to show you 2D model space. Click OK. This is under grids. And then what that does is you have the chance to change from your grid to an array of points. I'm just letting you know, people like this. I actually like the array, but the grid better. So unclick that. Okay, back to the grid. Now, the grid spacing. If you type grid, it will tell you, we will ask you, what is the spacing that you want? Right now it's telling me 0.5. I know what that 0.5 means, but maybe you forget, or you need to show somebody what that 0.5 means, or maybe you don't know what that 0.5 means. So that is 0.5 units of something, inches, millimeters, meters, etc. So I know what it is. I'm going to show you how to figure that out, but I'm going to put it at 1 unit of distance. Now, what units am I working with? What is that one? I go to units, and it says that it's inches. You can change it to meters, feet, anything. Also is the precision. So don't compute precision with tolerance. The precision is how many decimal points I want my coordinates to be at. So if I say 3.254 and I only have 2 digits of precision is gonna be 325. If I have 3, then it will take the 325 for. That actually is important because a lot of times you reproduce in a drawing and the drawing will tell you 3 digits of precision and you don't know how to change that. You're gonna have gaps in your drawing, and you'll see later on that if you don't have things connected, you won't be able to make a solid. You need to have fine, solid connections, closed connections in squares, polylines, so that later on you can extrude them if you're gonna do a 3D part. So that is important. Alright, let's just do digits of precision for now, and then I'm gonna say okay. Now, tolerance, I said precision is not the same as tolerance. Tolerances is a manufacturing concept. It's when you have your part that says 3.25 inches long. When you take it to a place that is going to manufacture it for you, they're going to have to make sure that it's 3.25, but it's going to be expensive. So it's going to be less expensive if you say, okay, this is 3.25 plus minus a tenth of an inch. So just set your machine to do this at these tolerances. As long as you meet that, I'm happy. There are tolerances that are very high, plus minus quarter of an inch, right? So those type of things are for heavy duty wearable things, etc. We'll go into those type of things later if we need to. But that's for tolerances. Is for how much do we want our part to be varying from the nominal value because of the machining or the manufacturing techniques that we're going to use. Okay, so let's talk about coordinate systems now that we know the units and the settings and we know that they're correct. Alright, so let's start with a circle. Type circle, and again, so you don't have to type if you like using the mouse better. They're right here on the left on the top. Line, polyline, circle. Again, I like typing better. So circle, and it's going to tell you the center point. So the coordinate system that we're going to use is the absolute coordinate system. So if you say 0, 0, it will be placed on, sorry, didn't type 0, 0, circle. 0, cap, 0. There you go. And then the second thing is going to be the radius. So the radius, I'm going to say is 10 inches. Alright. So that's a circle placed on the center of the coordinate system. Now, I do want to mention, if you type circle, that is going to be the standard default circle the AutoCAD will create. It will ask for the center point of the circle, for the origin, and for the radius. If you want to create other types of circles, you can do center and diameter, 2-point circle, 3-point circle, etc. When you're drafting, then you can get more creative. Okay, let's get rid of this and let's practice the coordinate system concept with typing a line. So my first point is going to be a 0, 0, tab 0. Alright, so the second thing that I can do is provide a length. So, or the points, or the second point. So if a line is I don't know, at 0, 0 and 3, 3, then the length is 3. But it's very difficult to create a draft based on coordinates. I usually, unless you already know a drawing and you're reproducing it, if you're drafting, you don't really have that luxury of knowing the points. You're seeing the scales, and sometimes you have a finite amount of mass that you can use for heat transfer properties or for electrical properties. So you don't have the luxury of just saying first point at 0, 0, second point at 5.5, 3 point at 15.3. That is rare. Usually what you go is by lengths. So if you want a line parallel to the x-axis, we're using a coordinate system. X-axis is horizontal, y-axis is vertical. Positive distances on x are to the right hand side. Positive y distances are vertically up. Not vertically down are negative y, and left hand side straight horizontal are negative x. Okay, so if you want a positive x distance, you can go to ortho mode, which is a straight line on x or y, and then if you move my mouse up and down, it's not going to change unless I go exactly to the y axis. Okay, so I want a straight line and it's 30 inches long. Okay, and then I type enter, or right click enter is the same thing. So if you check your dimensions, this point to this point, they're 30 inches long. Right, so this is a line on the absolute coordinate system that is 30 inches long, and the first point is at 0, 0. Okay, now let's use polar coordinate systems. So let's do another line, and it's going to start at 0, 0, and then I'm going to take ortho off, and ortho is for rectangular coordinate system. For polar coordinate systems, you take ortho off, and it says right here polar if you want to use other options. So polar off, if you do this, is polar on, it's right here, and then you can do 15, and when you tab, it's going to be 45. Alright, so again, if you want another line, and you just want to use the command line, I'm going to do the same thing through the command line. You don't need this on because now we're going to use the command line. So I'm going to say line, and I'm going to say the first point, let's change the origin, let's say 10, 1,5. So that's my first. Remember, each grid point is 1 inch. So that's my first point, and then I'm going to say at the distance, which is 30, and then if you type the less than, shift, if you go to your keyboard and you type less than, which is this red, remember that's the angle nomenclature in AutoCAD. So he's waiting for an angle. So right now it's a 45, 50, 160, etc. 250, right? So let's say 45. Alright, enter. So now this line is at the first coordinate point that I chose, which is not 0, 0 anymore, it could be anything, and it's 30 inches long with an angle with respect to my x-axis. Actually, the x-axis is right here for the line, right? This is the x-axis for the line. So that is 45 degrees. Alright, so we know how to create a horizontal line. We know how to create polar lines. So polar is length and an angle. Right, so that is just with a line. So if you go to polyline, we can do the same thing, and we can combine the concepts. So let's start with saying 0, 0 is my first, whoops, repeat line. Actually no, let's go to polyline, 0, 0, enter, yes, and then ortho is gonna be 20 inches up, then it's going to be 10 inches to the right hand side. Then I'm gonna take ortho off, and I'm gonna say at 10 less than 45. Alright, and I'm gonna take ortho back on, and then I'm gonna say 10, and then I'm going to say, and now this is what I wanted to come to. So since I know that I don't really know this new point, because I can find out. I don't know this point because I just use an angle. I use the angle and the length. So I don't know how to make it close here just by coordinates. As I said before, you don't have that luxury of saying, oh, now is 3, 0, or, you know. So what you do is you use your snap options. And if you go here, we're gonna have one that is called extension, and then when you come here, we just want to click there, and then it will just, you see the endpoint, because I have selected endpoint here too. Yeah, it's the first one, endpoint. Alright, enter. So now I have a part that if I go and take my dimensions, it will tell me that this part is 27 inches. This part is, I forget already, 29 inches. Let's check the dimensions one more time. .29 inches, and then enter. Let's check this distance right here. Okay, 20 inches. All right. So as you can see, we can go around the drawing around the part, getting all the dimensions from it. And it's very simple. You just use Smart Dimension and click 2 points, and then that's 10. Dimension 2 points, 12, etc. Okay, so that's how we're gonna go over the details of annotations. So that's a new different lecture. On annotations, we're gonna learn how to change this. If we want arrows at the end, or if we want just connected to the lines, how to change this the size of this annotation to be larger, so you don't have to be scrolling in. Because, for instance, if you print this drawing now, nobody will be able to see anything really. Look, you can get rid of the line and do it again. You want a thicker line too, so right now this is not ready for printing or for sending over, right? So we're going to go back to how to change that later on a different lecture, but for now we're learning how to use the coordinate system and drawing objects. Alright, so before I go, we have a few more minutes. We can actually practice something else. So we said that this is 29 inches, this is 10 inches, 12 inches. Okay, so what we can do is, let's create a circle here in the middle point of this line. So if we go to line and choose the middle point of this is the midpoint. And how to know? Because you go to snaps and you check midpoint, and then you put a reference line all the way down. Later we're gonna learn how to put reference lines on different layers, but for now we're gonna just do everything here. Alright, and then we're gonna do a line, and then it's gonna be on the midpoint of this line. Whenever you see, there you go. With ortho on, you're gonna just send a line straight down, a straight horizontal. I apologize. Not a straight down, not a line straight down, a line straight horizontal. Alright, and then we're gonna go to circle, and then in the intersection point, we're gonna type our circle, and then it's gonna be 3 inches. Cool. Now we can get rid of the construction lines. Alright, cool. So, and I don't want my annotations used yet. The annotations are gonna go. Now I'm just showing you, if you want to know the distances, you can get them real quick. Okay, so that's how you use also relative points. So we're gonna use this midpoint. I apologize for this Rockwell PLC warning saying that I need to update my software. So if we want a line that is at the midpoint of this, if I want a circle that is with respect to the midpoint of this line, that's how you do it. And at the midpoint of this line, so you create a reference point and find the midline. Instead of typing 5,5, which sometimes is not exactly 10, sometimes it's going to be 10.11, 10.59, depending on angles and how the other aspects of the geometry are working out. what you do is you let AutoCAD find it for you. So AutoCAD will find the midpoint with respect to the global coordinate system, and you just you draw a reference line, and then on the vertical line you do the same thing. You find the midpoint, then AutoCAD will find it for you, and then you can draw a horizontal line, and the intersection point is the point where you're going to use to draw the shape that you want. Right? You can practice and do the same thing here and here, and you can create other objects within the geometry that you're creating. Next time, when we learn about 3D parts, we're going to show how we can use a coordinate system to be also relative to different planes of the part. In that case, you can draw a circle on one face of the cube, and then you can move your coordinate system, relative coordinate system, to draw a circle or a perforation on the other face, etc. So I hope this is useful. The summary is that you have your global coordinate system with respect to 0, 0. And you can use polar coordinates to type angles of lines, or you can use the orthogonal mode to have your lines in the x, y coordinate system, parallel to x or parallel to y. Thank you.